I'm Scott Becker from IT Pro here with Tyron Hancock of Datacom and Ash Perkins of Microsoft. So, Tyron is a solution architect for intelligent devices, and Ash is a device partner master trainer. Tyron, Ash, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here.
Thanks, Scott.
So we're here to talk about AI ready PCs. Now, when I think of AI, I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking that it's about massive data centers, handling the processing and feeding the results to the PC, where the PC doesn't have to do any more heavy lifting than it otherwise does as a website client. Is that not the right way to think about where AI processing is getting handled? Ash, I'll turn that question to you.
At the very beginning, yes, that was how it was done, and it still plays a significant part today, even. Um, but with the launch of Copilot Plus PCs and the presence of the ability of being able to process that data locally, we're now seeing a bit of a shift in how we can strategically think about how AI workloads are handled. So rather than exclusively on the cloud, we're seeing opportunities and the ability to run AI workloads locally, as well as in a hybrid manner with our Copilot Plus PCs.
So, Tyron, what are some of the benefits of this kind of edge AI processing where the PC is doing the work?
So, Scott, I think probably the three big ones is probably speed, privacy, offline capabilities. So when the AI, runs locally, you get instant responsiveness, no waiting around for it to head up to the cloud and get an answer. So it's definitely a benefit to be able to run it locally and sensitive data on our devices, reducing the exposure to sending potentially some sensitive stuff out into the internet is definitely a bonus to be able to keep that local. So yeah.
Mm. I can see how that would address a lot of the privacy concerns. Ash, what are some of the use cases for this kind of edge AI processing?
There's some really basic ones through to more complicated ones. So, for example, right now, my background blur is all been handled by the device. So, typically, that would be done using the CPU or the GPU. But now, because of the ability to actually use a specialized part of the chip to do this, I can still have other work happening. Whilst there's still, and also what you see is like the cutout of my hand is actually quite good
Mm.
previously, where if you're not leveraging that, it's a bit more approximate, and so that's a really simple thing. But we can go all the way through to different examples of which we talked about Ignite, um, that recently happened, where we showcased some demos of, say, like an insurance broker going out to do an assessment of a property that's been damaged, and being able to process images locally, be able to remove personally identifying information from images, and being able to complete, essentially the assessment, all doing that on the device without needing to send that information to the cloud. So it's perfect for if the network connectivity is limited or non-existent, particularly think in that insurance aspect where connectivity might be completely wiped out, but also in a way to maximize privacy by keeping it on the device as well.
And Ash, is it happening now? With a lot of this on the PC processing of AI workloads, or is it a phenomenon that's going to be 6, 12, 18 months out?
Well, it's been happening, since we launched Copilot Plus PCs just over a year ago, 18 months ago now. Um, and we're seeing that continuously ramp up, especially as software developers, ISVs, start leveraging and utilizing what's present on the device and within the operating system, such as AI Foundry, which unlocks all of these capabilities. We're seeing that ramp up significantly at the moment.
Hmm. Tyron, in these edge cases, what are we loading onto the PC that requires more than sort of usual PC resources? Are there any new pieces of hardware there to assist?
Yeah, I guess to Ash's point as well, like, obviously talking about the MPU here. So, um, in previous years, we were used to the CPU and GPU and things like that taking care of a lot of the processes on a local PC, and now we've introduced the MPU, which is neural processing unit. So this this chip is now sort of responsible for handling a lot of the local AI processing. So as to what Ash was saying with the like AI Foundry, we can load small language models onto the device and be able to get sort of tests done with that local processing power. So, and also the sort of embedded features that are part of Windows 11. So, things like my camera moves with me and it focuses on me when I'm moving around and things like that. So, and background blur and all those kind of features that are just embedded directly into Windows 11. So there's a lot of things starting to tap into the NPU, and I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger as we move along.
That's really interesting. And so, how does that NPU fit into the overall architecture of the PC? Is it an ARM only proposition, or what other processes? What other processors does it work in concert with?
So yeah, so I mean, early days, ARM was probably the most prevalent one out there, with Qualcomm bringing out processing with Windows 11, things like that. So the NPU was built into that, but now everyone's jumping on board, and we've got NPU pretty much across the board for AMD, Intel, and Qualcomm. So all three. And yeah, I think as we've spoken about it earlier in the year, it was 40 tops was the standard for Copilot Plus PCs, and now we're seeing 55 tops, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I think I heard that Qualcomm's brought out something that's doing like 1,000 tops. So that's sort of that benchmark that we started off with, it's just growing and growing. So um, yeah, it's exciting, and well, who knows where the future's going to go with AI. So it's just getting crazy.
Um, Ash, Tyron mentioned some of the features of Windows 11, that are sort of tuned for AI. Are there any others that you can think of?
Yeah, there's a great list of them available. Some of the ones available are also not just about making my experience as a user on my Copilot Plus PC better, but it's also, if we think about in the context of an organization, reducing things like tickets to IT to help with really basic things. With IT, a lot of requests and a lot of help tickets are really quite simple things, and some of the Copilot Plus features are about reducing that and making it better. So, for example, we have agent in settings. And so rather than having to remember where 300 plus features are in settings are located, because not even for me, I can remember exactly where one particular thing might sit. I simply just type in that top little search bar that, hey, I want to connect a mouse, or my text is too big, or my screen is too bright. And it's not just going to give me, hey, click on this link and it'll take you to the spot where you can adjust it. It's actually going to give me a suggestion of, hey, let's connect a mouse, or hey, one click to make your screen go from light mode to dark mode. So that's just one example where, hey, that's great for me as a user, and it's great for those who might not be power users either. And it's reducing those help desk tickets, but also things like, and I'm sure all of us on the call and those watching have been doing research for something, whether it's for work and you've got a million different browser tabs open and you've been researching for a couple of hours, or it might be even to find tickets for something, right? Like, in our personal time. And when you go to revisit that topic, you can't quite remember exactly where you saw something, but you want to get back to that. And so we have Windows Recall, and that essentially allows you to jump back in and work across a timeline of everything that you've seen. but you can also search for either something might be text or it even might be something that you've seen. So if you knew that there was a page or a document or a PowerPoint presentation that had a tree with an orange car in it, just search for tree with the orange car and it's going to find and do a visual match for you and let you jump either, view that snapshot or jump straight back into that document or back into that web page. And that could be from, 3 weeks ago where, I'm terrible at naming things. It's usually final underscore three. And that's not helpful for looking for things. And so being able to find based off text or even, a visual setting goes a really long way. And they're just a couple of the Windows centric features that we have. And we've got a whole bunch more coming that we announced at Ignite just recently.
Hmm. Yeah, the recall sounds really, really useful. I know I can never remember
It's a
what
game
I'm doing.
changer. You might not use it
For
every
Yeah,
single moment, but it's a game changer
yeah.
when you desperately need to find something.
So one of the things that came up earlier is, the one of the benefits of the edge AI processing is security. So Ash, what makes a Copilot Plus PC more secure than other PCs?
That's a really good question, and I think that's probably a piece that we talk about a lot of the AI capabilities a lot with Copilot Plus PC because, of course, with the presence of the NPU and even now with more and more choice from our silicon partners and our OEM partners, um, but security is another key pillar of that aspect, right? We've got embedded into the silicon of every single Copilot Plus PC is the Microsoft Pluton chip. And that really allows us to elevate the security position of what these devices are, making them our most secure devices. And it goes in further by enabling features like Windows Hello ESS to enhance secure sign-on. And it means that information that's meant to stay private and secure, like your cryptographic keys, um, are secure and also can be protected against evolving threats. It's one thing to protect against known threats today, but it's another to be able to protect against things that emerge down the line. The other aspect is, of course, with having the ability to process AI locally on the device, it gives organizations and it gives developers even more choice in terms of how we want to process sensitive information. We have enterprise data protection within M365 and M365 Copilot. Um, but also, there might be just some cases where either it might be a client requirement for that customer, or to do business with somebody else, they have to have certain ways in that they control that data. And so, being able to have something that can exclusively work on that device without needing to be connected to the network or send anything off of that device is something that's valuable to customers at the moment. And so, yeah, it's not just about the security features, but it's also that greater level of choice when it comes to working with AI on that device.
Hmm. Excellent. So, the Tyrant is there a price premium for a PC that includes, an NPU or for a Copilot Plus PC?
Yes, I think that sort of gap is narrowing now as the NPU becomes standard in the mid-level range devices now. So I think when we first sort of had devices coming out, it was probably your top end sort of device. We sort of used to call it the exec jewelry. So it's come down a bit from when we first started. So um, and that's the premium is obviously justified by the performance gains and future proofing for AI workloads as well. So, um, but yeah, it's definitely reduced since we first when we first
Mm.
started bringing out Copilot Plus devices. So.
Okay, excellent. Um, in Ash, what's sort of the early 2026 business case you know, for Copilot Plus PCs for NPU ready PCs? As businesses are looking at the big picture, of should I do this? What's the business case?
I think that's a really good question, and I think particularly if we think about the refresh motion that happened during the pandemic, and even year after the pandemic, that cycle there, those devices are reaching 4, 5, even 6 years old, right? And they're Windows 11 devices. And now the question for those organizations is, well, what's next? What should we be refreshing to? And this is where, with that price point getting even better with the Copilot Plus PC, we're seeing a lot more choice, whether it's from thin and light devices all the way through to workstation class devices as well now. So we have more choice than ever. Copilot Plus PCs are really going, to customers, or we're going to customers and saying, look, with the wave of AI capabilities on these devices now, with software vendors creating applications and even web apps that can leverage this hardware as well. Um, the gap between what we see as a maybe a Windows 11 Pro device or an AI PC to a Copilot Plus PC is going to be wider in terms of the best class experience that's going to be possible is going to be on a Copilot Plus PC. And if you
Mm.
think about how long you hold onto these devices, that device refresh cycle that you have, you want devices that are going to be capable of leveraging all of that, giving you advantage as well compared to your competitors over those next number of years. And yeah, so I think that 2026 cycle is really that time to be looking at these devices, seeing how well it fits within to your fleet right now and the different personas that you have within your organization, and seeing how, yeah, right now we can our research shows that we can actually save about 5 hours per week per user, with a Copilot Plus PC and just all of the different features. I only mentioned a couple, but there's a whole list of them that go ahead and a little time savers everywhere across a typical workday. And
Mm.
even that, from that productivity gain, that's a great return on investment with these devices.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And so those Copilot Plus PCs, are they available in pretty much every niche every sort of PC type, or is it more, are they more parallel with the higher end PCs, traditionally? How broad is the product line at this point?
It's actually pretty huge, and each of our silicon partners are working hard to making that available. We're seeing that across Qualcomm, Snapdragon, AMD, and Intel as well. Where yeah, it started off as a really premium positioned product, but I think it's have that question, have that discussion with Tara, and have that discussion with the team from Datacom, and look at how broad those devices are, because we're really seeing that broaden. And yes, there's plenty of really high end, great performance machines. Like this machine I'm on right now has 96 gigabytes of RAM, but not everybody needs that, right? Everybody, there's some that need, they're happy with 16 or 32, just as an example. And yeah, it's a really broad range right now, which is really great for our customers.
Yeah,
I thought
Tyron,
32
anything
gig
you
was
want to
pretty good.
add to that?
Yeah, I was just saying, I thought 32 gig was pretty good on my machine, but Ash has just blown me out of the water. Yes.
It's the persona I have, right?
But yeah, Ash is completely right. I mean, the range of devices nowadays is quite extensive, and we've been trying really hard to get those devices in the hands of our customers, even just to test and play around with, so that they can understand what the features are and how they can implement them into their business, and what those use cases look like. So especially with Qualcomm coming onto the market as well, there's a lot of sort of customers out there going, is how does that work? Can I image it like a traditional device, and what's the use case for an ARM processor? So yeah, I mean, the only way really is just to get them into the hands of our customers and let them test them out. So we do have a lot of proof of concepts and things like that that we can offer the customer from Datacom as well. So
Sometimes you just have to
Excellent.
see um, even that 5 or 6 year old device right next to one of these devices, and you'll see the the screen quality improvements, the webcam improvements, the battery life is one of the key. Even with all the AI capabilities and security aspects, sometimes the battery life improvements alone in these devices is enough to really wow a customer. I one of the other devices that I use, I've gone to New Zealand for a 3 day trip and not taken the charger with it, and being able to still hop on the plane with battery life left. And so it is when you start to see, I join meetings where you can see who's using a Copilot Plus PC or not, because they're the ones that do have one aren't rushing for the charger point in the meeting room. The others tend to be looking for that. And even that alone is just a wonderful advantage with the advancements the silicon and the hardware has come.
Well, one more question for both of you guys. Ash, I'll put it to you first, but you know, who should be thinking about equipping their workforces with these PCs? Is it certain verticals that are expected to be like, or that you're seeing, or sort of the early adopters, or is it everybody? What are you saying, Ash?
I think in general, the Australian market has been a bit of an early adopter
Mm.
across. We're kind of leading the way in Copilot Plus PC adoption, and I think it's because we like to be quite innovative. Like we think, act in a way that we're quite innovative in the way that we utilize technology down here in Australia, and so we're seeing it broadly being used across a lot of industries and a lot of organizations, and I think it comes back to these devices in particular really give, or really, I guess you could say, empower not just your power users, but your everyday sort of standard users within an organization, where there are little time saves here and there just because AI is supplementing that experience or enhancing that experience, right? Being able to find something significantly faster. We spend an ungodly amount of time every week looking for things on our devices every week. And so, even just improving how we can search, um, having something where, ahead of this meeting in my start menu, it suggested, hey, here's the email discussion, here's the chat that happened beforehand. Which for me, if I'm back to back to meetings, can be so helpful in ensuring that I don't forget something key in that meeting that's coming up. And so, as a power user, I love it, but as a standard user as well, that's something which is a huge advantage. Then we have the applications really taking advantage of AI Foundry and the NPU. That's even driving how line of business applications, creative applications can also improve things even further.
Great. And yeah, Tyron, anything to add on what you're seeing?
I think the conversations we've been having with some of our customers have been very interesting, and obviously displaying what the AI PC and Copilot Plus PCs are capable of. They've been able to come up with some interesting usages for that device, and some of the ideas have been great. I mean, we've had customers that um, they have international staff and things like that. They've been able to use the live translation, which is leaps and bounds better than any other sort of software or platform that they've been using in the past, and it's just been an absolute game changer for them. So they've really taken on the Copilot Plus PC for that reason just alone. So, and then we've had other customers that have used image recognition and things like that. That they do like like to recognize when there's a flood going to happen potentially around particular areas, so they can monitor um, waterways and lakes and things like that with AI locally on the device, where internet connectivity might not be as prevalent around that area, so they can do it all locally. Yeah, some of the use cases have been really really interesting, and that's kind of the cool thing about these new devices, the cool conversations that we've been having with our customers and how they're looking to implement these things. So
All right. Excellent. Well, gentlemen, I think that's a good place to leave it. Tyron, Ash, thank you both so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
So thanks for having us.